Hi, and thanks for watching. I'm Michael Alden. Folks, if you're one of the millions of Americans that suffer with diseases such as diabetes, heart disease, arthritis, and even cancer, my guest today claims to have unlocked a secret to preventing and curing these diseases naturally. He's one of the nation's foremost authorities on health and wellness, and he's here today to talk about his revolutionary, groundbreaking book entitled Live Disease Free to 103. Folks, I've read this book, and it contains information that can change your life. You're not going to want to miss this next half an hour. Please welcome Mr. Jim Schreiner. Jim?
Hey, it's a pleasure, Mike. Thanks for having me on the show.
Thanks for being on my show. You know, before we get started, why don't you tell us a little bit about how you got involved in the world of health and nutrition?
Absolutely, Mike. That story is actually going to lead us into the program. At the age of 16, I was actually paralyzed by a tumor in my third vertebrae. Specialists from all over the country told me that I would probably never walk again. Through the grace of God, a surgeon from Germany came in. He literally removed my third vertebrae, used my pelvis, and built me a new vertebrae. Now, I was laying in Riley Children's Hospital, 6 foot tall, 105 pounds in a full-length body cast. Now, you would think that would be a pretty eye-opening experience.
Sure.
But when I left the hospital and began my rehabilitation, at the age of 43, my father went into a hospital right across the street from me to have his very first open heart surgery, Mike, at 43 years old.
Wow.
It was, I mean, it just blew my mind. And it got to start thinking very seriously about health issues. And I looked at my father, looked at my mother, and I looked at my brothers and sisters, and it was amazing because if you looked at our gene pool, my parents, my grandparents, everybody was suffering from heart disease, diabetes, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, you name it, we had it.
Sure.
I had just left the hospital from having a tumor removed. I was literally scared to death. So I went back to college, studied exercise and nutrition, and I've applied those philosophies to my life. And Mike, I'm here to tell you, at the age of nearly 50, I cannot remember ever being sick. I've not had so much as a cold in over 25 years. I've never had the flu.
You've never had the flu?
Never had the flu. We're going to talk about that in the program. People were going crazy getting this flu shot. Rather than getting a flu shot, why don't you let me teach you how to prevent the body from getting it in the first place? Because that's how God designed our bodies, to fight off anything attacking it. The flu, a cold, even illnesses such as cancer. But Mike, I want you to get this. And if you can listen to this one story and it makes sense, that'll give a common theme throughout the program. Remember, my father went into the hospital at 43 for his first open heart surgery. Now, what they did, he had 15% blood flow, which meant all of his major arteries were closed off.
Wow.
One artery had 5%, one artery had 10%. He should have been dead at 43. They bypassed his arteries. We call that open heart bypass surgery. They basically bypassed all the blockage. Before he left the hospital, they gave him prescription medications to lower his cholesterol.
Okay.
Because that was the story, right? Mike, you have heart disease because you have high cholesterol. That's the story that the pharmaceutical industry has been telling us for well over probably 10 years,
Well,
right?
yeah, you're not supposed to eat eggs or eat meat or anything like that.
Exactly.
Right.
So they told my father that same story. They said, Jim, now we're going to lower your cholesterol. So you take these prescription medications so we can lower your cholesterol to help you prevent heart disease.
Sure.
Now watch. He took the medications. 10 years later, almost to the date, they checked his cholesterol. His cholesterol was fine because he was taking the medications.
Okay.
But guess what? He had to have another open heart surgery.
Why?
He still had clogged arteries.
Well, didn't the drugs help?
That's the magic question, Mike.
Well, that's what they're supposed to do.
Exactly. That's what we're being told.
Right.
We're being told that these prescription drugs are supposed to lower cholesterol and help prevent heart disease. But you know, Mike, there is no data, no science to prove that having high cholesterol will in fact reduce your risk of heart disease. Listen to the disclaimers. Even the drug ads will tell you this product has not been proven to reverse or lower your risk of heart disease. Now wait a second, then why are we lowering our cholesterol? Watch, my father took the drugs. He had his first open heart surgery at 43. 10 years later, while taking the drugs, had another open heart surgery. 12 years later, while taking the drugs, had another open heart surgery. At 67, died of heart disease while taking the medication to lower his cholesterol.
That's unbelievable.
Doesn't make sense.
That's unbelievable.
Mike, there is absolutely no correlation I know people are going to think, man, this guy's out there. Do the science yourself.
Okay.
There's science that will back up what I'm telling you. There is no correlation between you having high cholesterol and heart disease. Other countries outlive us, and they don't take heart medications, and they have no heart disease. Why? Because there is a cure for heart disease, and it's not a drug.
Heart disease and cancer run neck and neck. Right?
Oh, absolutely.
They're the #1 and #2 killers here in the United States.
Yeah, this year it's probably heart disease, next year cancer, next year heart disease. They go back and forth.
But yeah,
over
with the medical technology that we have out there and all the drugs that we have out there, why do we still even see heart disease?
Great question. We're not even looking.
What do you mean we're not looking?
Our medical industry has 100% failed. Mike, look, you just said it. In America, we have more drugs than any other country on the face of the planet, and we have more heart disease, diabetes, high cholesterol, high blood pressure, obesity than any other country. Yet we take more drugs. If you were to ask the owners of these drug companies, they'll tell you, we're not even looking for a cure. Mike, they're not looking for the cure. Why would they want to find a cure? Wouldn't it be smarter if you owned a company that manufactured a drug? Which would make more sense? Develop a drug to cure you of your symptoms, cure you of your disease, so you never have to take the drug again.
Okay.
Or develop a drug that you have to take every day for the rest of your life.
Well, I mean, you're right, and that's the one thing you asked me to do a little bit of research myself, and I have before the show. And most of these drug companies are publicly traded corporations, and their only fiduciary duty is to make more money and sell more drugs.
Exactly.
They don't really care about curing anybody.
Why would they want to cure anything? Think about it. Jerry Lewis has been holding muscular dystrophy telethons for what, 20, 30, 40, 50 years? I don't know. The guy looks 100.
Sure.
He's been holding telethons forever. We're nowhere near a cure. President Nixon announced the war on cancer in 1972. Mike, where are we?
Yeah.
Cancer will kill more people this year than it did in 1950. You have a higher rate. You have a higher chance of getting cancer today and dying of cancer than you did when we declared the war on cancer.
And the statistics are what, 1 in 2?
1 in 2.
That means either you or I are going to get
cancer or heart disease, and you will die of one of those twos. And what's amazing, Mike, it's very scary. One of us is going to get heart disease or cancer. One of every 2. You're either going to get heart disease or cancer or diabetes. Diabetes is an epidemic. And now think about this. If I make insulin, if you made insulin, you sure wouldn't want to cure diabetes. No, you want to get people taking your insulin.
Right.
The pharmaceuticals companies, you said it, pharmaceutical companies have one legal responsibility, and that is to make their stockholders money. How do you make money? You sell more drugs. Mike, how do you sell more food? If you make a company, you make a product, you got to sell more food.
Sure.
You're not going to make a food and then hope that a couple people eat it. You're going to put something in that food that's going to cause you to eat more of that food. It's all about the money.
So what are we supposed to do, Jim? I mean, you wrote a book. It's called Live Disease Free to 103. And in your book, I've read it, but give me some examples of what are we supposed to do? I mean, we're inundated with drugs, and we're a nation of fast food. What do we do? What's the answer?
Mike, the answer is we have got to get our eyes focused in the right direction. I want you to think about something. What if, as a nation, we're putting so much emphasis on chemicals and drugs in the cure for a disease that we're not even looking in the right direction? The reason I say that is because we have got to start looking back at the earth. We've got to start looking back at what God created, because God created life. He created the earth, the sun, nutrients to take care of us, not chemicals. God did not create chemicals. He created foods. He created the sun. He allowed us to exercise, to burn toxins. And in the book, one of the most important things that you're going to find is I'm going to provide you with my top 10 foods list. Because if you want to get back to basics, Mike, the bottom line is, in order for you to live a longer, healthier, disease-free, more productive life, the bottom line is you've got to bring into your body the right components to do that. And you've got to eliminate the components that are causing you damage, the toxins, the chemicals. So in my book, I'm going to give you the top 10 foods to eat and the top 10 foods to avoid, because I believe that if you can just make the switch in a couple of those, you can not only prevent disease, heart disease, cancer, diabetes, but you can also reverse the symptoms. There's clinical proof to back up that statement.
I want to talk a little bit more about those foods and some of the things that you've discovered in just a moment. Folks, if you've been watching the show and you're looking to improve your life, if you're sick and tired of being unhealthy, maybe you want to lose weight, maybe you're looking for ways to prevent disease, or maybe you're just looking for ways to look and feel younger, or you're concerned about the health of a loved one. Folks, this book is the answer. Live Disease-Free to 103. It's not available in stores. It's actually available on our show today, absolutely free. So pick up the phone and give us a call. Jim, you just mentioned earlier that there are foods that we should and shouldn't eat. Give us an example of something we absolutely should never eat.
Absolutely should never eat pork. And I hope there are a lot of people out there eating pork. Mike, I tell you the story in the green room that I grew up on a farm. Well, across the street from me were the Finkeys. And the Finkeys grew up raising pigs.
Okay.
And it was amazing. I asked Brian one day, and I said, Brian, how come the garbage truck never stops at your house? Every week, the garbage truck comes by, and we take our garbage out, load it in the garbage truck.
Right.
I said, how come whenever he stops at our house, he never stops at your house? And Brian says, well, because we don't have any trash. I said, well, what do you do with it? We feed it to the pigs.
What do you mean?
What are you talking about? Feed it to the pigs. Leftovers. If another pig dies, you just feed it to the pigs. If your car breaks down, you feed it to the pigs. If you have leftovers in your house, food's gone spoiled, anything, you feed it to the pigs. A pig will eat and devour anything you give it. And the worst part about that, Mike, is when you eat it, those toxins get lodged into that pig. This is a fact. And when humans consume that pig, the toxins will get trapped in your body. I want you to answer this real simple question. Why do you think that we're seeing such an alarming rate in mental disease? Alzheimer's, mental, psychological issues, children having attention deficit disorder and autism and those. Why do you think? Could it possibly be that we're putting too many toxins not only into the food that we eat, but spraying chemicals on our earth?
What do you mean by toxins? Like,
a toxin is anything that's foreign to the body.
Okay.
All right, toxins are coming at us all types of places. You know, we breathing in toxins from car fumes. We're eating toxins because of the chemicals and pesticides that we spray more chemicals and pesticides on our earth than any other country. More chemicals and pesticides than any other country. Don't you think that could be a reason? And we ingest those. You know, a plant can't choose what to consume. It's going to consume whatever you spray on it. If you spray a chemical or pesticide on a plant, that plant's going to take it in, and when you eat the plant, guess what? That toxin's going to go in your body. And we're bombarding ourselves with toxins, and there's no way that the body can rid themselves of toxins. But Mike, if you do the research on a toxin, we hear a lot about free radical damage.
Okay.
Toxins are causing all types of diseases in our bodies. They're linked to arthritis. They're linked to anti-inflammatory diseases, heart disease, cancer. There are to date natural ways, natural cures for virtually every disease on the planet. And people say, well, yeah, that's untrue. It's got to be a pharmaceutical drug. What diseases have the drug industry ever cured? Think about it. Does anything come to mind? Nothing. But you know what? We were disease-free years ago, and we were curing diseases with foods.
Okay.
Now, what's amazing is the government is trying to ban me from making that statement. The government, Mike, would like you to believe, this is a regulation in the United States, which is now a law. Nothing can prevent, cure, or treat a disease except a pharmaceutical drug. That's the law. Nothing. Well, if that's true, then how do you explain the fact that the nutrients in this orange cure scurvy, beriberi, rickets, 3 diseases that were wiping out nations
just
that were
by
killing
eating an orange.
Just by eating that orange. So according to that FDA law, this is a drug.
That's a drug.
That's a drug. Right now, this orange is a drug. Why? Because the law says that nothing can prevent, cure, or treat a disease. Why do you think that is? They're protecting the pharmaceutical industry, Mike. It's all about the money. The pharmaceutical industry is a multi-trillion-dollar business. Not million, not billion, trillion. The power of money has got us completely away from where we need to be. Mike, there's a natural cure for arthritis. All natural, not an over-the-counter drug, not a prescription, an all-natural cure for arthritis.
All natural.
All natural.
Won't cause death.
Won't cause death.
Okay.
Not only will it not cause harmful side effects, it's actually got many, many positive benefits.
You know, you'd mentioned the toxins, and you asked me to do a little bit of research before the show, and I got on the EPA's website, and there's actually certain limits of chemicals that the EPA considers to be safe, like DDT. There are certain levels of DDT, which was used in, I think, World War I,
right.
Okay, that's toxic, that's still in our water today, but the EPA says it's safe.
It's so low that it's safe. They
How
think
can
it's
that
safe.
be?
And how can they prove that?
How can that be safe for us? It doesn't make any sense.
Toxin, how can any toxin be safe? Not only is that toxin harming your body, but Florida did a study on their oranges, and it would take 5 oranges to give you the same amount of vitamin C that 1 orange gave you just 5 years ago. Why? Because the chemicals and pesticides that they're spraying on the plant is causing that plant to grow at alarming rates. And because of that, farmers don't get paid by nutrients. They don't care how much nutrition is there. Farmers get paid by the bushel. They get paid to grow faster, get it to the market faster, because it's all about the money. We have got to slow down. We've got to start taking a look at our earth and say, you know what? I believe, not only do I believe this, Mike, but there's science to back it up. The earth has healing powers. Whether you believe in God or whether you believe in evolution, that's not my business. I happen to believe in God, but science has proven that the earth, the sun, the water, the food has healing properties. All you have to do is look back a few years. Even the American Cancer Society says you can reduce your risk of every form of cancer by as much as 50% by going on a whole food diet.
By eating fruits and vegetables.
By eating fruits and vegetables. Now, here's one of the challenges that I'm going to talk about in the book, Mike, that I'm going to help people. In America, we have become obese. In America, we've become a fast food society. So yes, you need to eat fruits and vegetables, but I'm going to show you a technique, a food combining technique that not only will lower your risk of every disease, but it will cause your body to burn fat at an accelerated rate.
Naturally.
Naturally. Okay. I'm going to teach you. See, the problem is there are certain foods that are not only good for you and certain foods that are bad, but we also know through science, through biology, how the body functions, that I'm going to show you a technique, a food combining technique, that if you eat this food with the right certain other food, guess what? It's going to trigger a hormonal response in your body that will cause your body to burn fat at an accelerated rate.
That it doesn't need. It just
exactly.
naturally does it.
Nothing, you're not changing anything but combining certain foods.
And it's not some weird obscure herb from the rainforest or anything like that.
Absolutely not. Matter of fact, I call it my 14-day anti-aging diet plan. Mike,
Okay.
It's the exact same diet that I have followed for well over 30 years. Mike, I'm 6 foot tall, weigh 190 pounds. I'm in the best shape of my life. I'm nearly 50. Mike, I can run circles around 20-year-olds. All right? I work out almost every day. I live and breathe this philosophy. I have helped hundreds of thousands of ordinary people get off of prescription drugs, lose weight, cure diseases.
See, you can't say that. You can't say that you've cured diseases. I mean,
the government won't allow me to, but I'm telling you, let me give you a perfect example. Menopause.
Okay.
Doctors will tell women that menopause is a disease. Menopause is not a disease. We've been curing menopause. If you have hot flashes, mood swings, night sweats, anything related to menopause,
sure.
I have an all-natural, I'll show you an all-natural solution that has no side effects, all positive benefits that will take away all your symptoms of PMS in less than a week.
Naturally.
Naturally.
In your book, you'd also mentioned acid reflux. I know so many people that have acid reflux, and they're taking these drugs, these little purple pills that you see fall from the sky, and they're taking these drugs, and talk about side effects of these things. They make it worse than the acid reflux. In your book, you give a solution to that almost instantly.
I even have to chuckle sometimes, especially when I hear somebody say acid reflux, a disease. We're putting acid reflux in the same category as cancer or acid reflux. It's not a disease, it's a deficiency. The reason why your body is building up acid and refluxing is because the food that you're eating is lacking the proper amounts of enzymes to digest itself. An orange has the perfect amount of enzymes that it can literally digest itself.
Yeah, where can someone, other than an orange, where else can someone get these enzymes that help with the digestion?
All natural foods.
Can you get it
yogurt? You can get it from yogurt. Imagine this, Mike. God created foods to fuel our bodies. Food is nothing more than energy. God created foods, and those foods have every single nutrient that's in perfect harmony with your body, including the amount of digestive enzymes that can literally allow your body to digest that food without any help. But that's a whole food.
Sure.
But what's happening in America, we've processed our foods. We put chemicals in our foods. We go to the fast foods. Those foods are lacking the digestive enzymes needed to break down that food and use it for fuel. That's why you're getting the reflux. Just like that, you can take a digestive enzyme, eat the food, and you will not get the symptom
Naturally.
of acid reflux. Acid reflux is not a disease. It is a deficiency of food enzymes. It's that simple.
I want to talk a little bit more about some of the other books and other programs that are on the market and what makes yours different in just a moment. Folks, if you've been watching the show and you're looking for ways to improve your life, if you're sick and tired of being unhealthy, maybe you want to lose weight, maybe you're looking for ways to prevent disease, or maybe you're just looking for ways to look and feel younger, or you're concerned about the health of a loved one. Folks, this is the answer. Live disease-free to 103. It's not available in stores, and it's actually on our show today. Jim Schreiner has actually made it available absolutely free. So pick up the phone and give us a call. Jim, there are a lot of other books and a lot of programs out there, and a lot of them you see on television. You go to the bookstore, and you're just inundated with all these books, that claim to have natural solutions. What makes your book different?
Mike, a couple of things you're going to find out different in my book is I live and breathe these principles. For over 30 years, I've traveled the country. Not only do I live these principles, but I've helped hundreds of thousands of people change their life. A couple of things you're going to get different in my plan are practical approaches to not only disease prevention and cures, but a daily way of life.
One of the things, too, that I think that I found really interesting about you, and you just mentioned, is that you live this life. You're not just some person on television who just had somebody else write you a book. In your book, you actually have stories about your life and about your family's lives and what you've done, and you've seen personally, firsthand, for the past 25 years that work. You're not just some guy on TV that just is out there selling book after book and different types of books. This is something you've lived. It's your life.
This is really my autobiography.
Okay.
I call it Live Disease Free to 103, but it truly is my autobiography. I share stories in there about thousands of people. I can share stories in the book where I'm going to show you where people are curing themselves of diseases naturally with no drugs all over the country, all over the world. There are natural cures being suppressed right now that are curing people. Mike, let me ask you a simple question. Who benefits from you and I being healthy? Think about that. Who, other than you, who benefits from you and I being healthy? No one.
No one.
Your doctor's not going to benefit
Sure.
because your doctor.
I'll see them less.
Exactly. You see them. I haven't had a doctor. I've never had a doctor. I've got doctor friends, but I've never had a doctor. I don't go to the doctor. What about when you were 16? Since the age of 16, let's put it that way. Now, don't get me wrong. When it comes to what I call trauma doctors, if you get hurt, if you get in an accident, for God's sakes, get to the hospital.
Sure.
Because we have some of the best trauma medicine in the world. But when it comes to disease and disease prevention, Mike, we are sicker than any country on the face of the earth. No one benefits from you and I being healthy. The pharmaceutical industry is banking on you to get sick, so you'll take another drug. Doctors are banking on you to get sick, so you can go back to the doctor.
Right.
The food industry is banking on you to get overweight, to get sick, because guess what? Overweight people eat more food.
And right now, we're in the middle of a healthcare crisis, right?
Absolutely.
This country is almost crumbling under the healthcare. But in your book, if people would just follow the principles in your book, we wouldn't have the healthcare crisis that we have in the United States, would we?
I firmly believe that. Well, perfect example, Mike. Think about it. What if just 20% of Americans decided to follow my principles of living disease-free, and they got off of prescription drugs? They didn't have to go to the doctor once a month for an illness. They just started to live a healthy life. Guess what? I hate to admit it, but it would probably crush our current state of healthcare, because the current state of healthcare is we need to build more hospitals, we need to build more doctors' offices, and we need to develop more drugs. Mike, we have more drugs in the United States than any other country, and we have more diseases.
And the other thing, too, that you'd mentioned we were talking about in the green room is every year drugs keep coming on the market, on the market, on the market, on the market. In fact, about a year ago, there was a drug, and it's still on the market today, that it essentially forced little girls, they'd be injected with this drug to possibly prevent them from getting, I think, ovarian cancer. Possibly. But yet, year after year, drugs are being taken off the market for causing death, for not being scientifically supported, and yet we're almost being forced to take these drugs. There was a state that, there was a state that passed a law that was forcing little girls to take drugs.
It's amazing.
And it hasn't even been tested.
Every day somebody comes to me and says, well, Jim, I take this prescription drug, but I take it according to the label, and it's FDA approved. And I just laugh. It's FDA approved. Wait a second. What about the last... I've seen every time I pick up the newspaper, it says this product has been pulled from the market, even though it was FDA approved. Look at Vioxx, Fen-Phen, Redux, heart medications being pulled left and right because they are deadly side effects. Why? Because they're made from chemicals. Chemicals in any form are not good for your body. Mike, that's why we're seeing so many prescription drugs being pulled from the market, because they have side effects, even deadly side effects. Let me give you a quick example. I know we're running out of time, but I need you to listen to this very carefully, because I have a really good friend of mine who is a doctor down in Florida, and this is the problem with the system. There is an all-natural cure for arthritis that I share in the book.
Okay.
Absolutely all-natural cure that will cure your osteoarthritis in a very short period of time, and it works better and probably just as fast as the prescription drugs. But if you walked into his office and said you had symptoms of arthritis, by law, he is required to write you a prescription for your arthritis. By law. Because the law says, Mike, only a prescription drug can treat, cure, or prevent a disease. So if you have symptoms of arthritis, that's a disease.
And your doctor friend knows about the natural solution.
So he has them call me. Because if he sends them down the natural solution route, he'd go to jail and lose his medical license. So he has his patients call me. If they're suffering with osteoarthritis, bone, inflammation, pain, he can't legally give them this product. He has to write them a prescription. That's how bad it's got in this country. Amazing. We are being bombarded with drugs, and it's all about the money. The pharmaceutical industry and the FDA and the FTC have all got together and said, nothing but a prescription drug can treat, cure, or prevent a disease, even though I know for a fact, Mike, that we are curing diseases. Diabetes, heart disease, cancer, fibromyalgia, joint pain, you name it. There are natural cures right now curing thousands of people that you won't be able to hear about because the pharmaceutically is crushing it.
And it's all in your book.
All in the book.
All in your book. You know, Jim, we're running out of time. We'll have you back. It's been an amazing show. Folks, if you've been watching and you're looking for ways to improve your life, if you're sick and tired of being unhealthy, maybe you want to lose weight, maybe you're looking for ways to prevent disease, or maybe you're looking for ways just to feel younger, or you're concerned about the health of a loved one, folks, this is the answer. This book can change your life. How to Live Disease-Free to 103. It's not available in stores, and actually Jim Schreiner has allowed us to give this book away absolutely free. He's so passionate about what's in this book, and the 25 years he's spent to develop this book, he's giving it away for free because he's concerned about you, your health, and your family's health. Folks, pick up the phone, give us a call. You really have nothing to lose. It's an amazing book, and it could change your life. Jim, thanks again for being on my show. Mike. My name is Michael Alden, and we'll see you next time.